Hello, we're the History Hikers. I am Dries.
And I'm Jente.
And we are standing under a familiar sign. If you watched our 100 subscriber video, you might recognize it. We are in Stokrooie and we are going on a 55...
Actually, we're right on the outside. We're outside of Stokrooie. Stokrooie is there.
We are not in Stokrooie and we're going to hike 55 kilometers to a little town of Werchter in Vlaams-Brabant, divided over 2 days.
Are you ready?
Hope so.
Let's go.
Let's roll! To the car. We hike quite a lot of kilometers following the banks of the river Demer. The name Demer is thought to come from the Celtic tam, meaning dark, plus ara, meaning water. Demer would then mean dark river.
Good morning.
Morning!
As you can see from our long shadows, it's very early. I think we started at 8, but a couple of days ago we changed to daylight savings time, so actually it was 7.
Folkloric tales in the region of Hasselt talk of a Demermanneke, the little man of the Demer. His task was to keep the Demer free of wooden blocks and all kinds of other floating debris. He was also responsible for the maintenance of the earthen dikes. Within the city walls of Hasselt, he was soon proclaimed the boogeyman of its youth. Parents threatened their children with "This night the Demermanneke will come."
My egg is hatching. It is. Dun 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 dun. Oh, man dike.
You shall not pass!
Well, you cursed it by saying that we shall not pass.
Now I'm like, we shall pass.
We shall pass, we shall. Ooh! It's a bit high for my tiny legs.
We could almost cross the river.
Oh yes, it's almost a bridge, but it's not far enough. The viewers will going to be like, why is she always making such weird noises?
I instruct her to. It's her one job.
It's my one job.
Being smart and annoying and making weird noise.
I excel at this job. It's what I was born to do. There's not really a path anymore, Dries. What are you gonna do now?
Check the map.
Check the map. We did not film that part on the banks of the River Demer because it was a little bit hairy and it was a little bit too difficult to both watch where we put our feet and watch you guys on the camera. So sorry, would have made great footage, but
Yeah, quite an adventure.
sorry.
The wire apparently was electrified, which we only found out after touching it for 15 seconds.
But now we're back on steady footing.
On track.
In a meadow in the Pannenstraat in Schulen, there is a stone building which, at first sight, looks like an ordinary sheep stable. Yet this stable is the last visible remnant of the Schulen tile industry. This ruin was the oven of Henri Rijmakers, who worked as a tile maker until the 1920s. It is likely that tiles were baked in Schulen from the early 18th century on, perhaps even as early as the 17th century. In contrast to other tile factories where loam was used, in Schulen they used real clay.
In the early 1970s, a sand extraction site was sought for the construction of the E314 motorway between Lummen and Aarschot. At that time, a retention basin was also planned in the Schulensbroek to better control the Demer. By extracting the sand at the place where the retention basin was planned, agricultural land only had to be sacrificed in one place. This was done in 1976.
Can I tell you a little personal story about this lake? When I was in high school, we learned how to windsurf, I was able to cross the lake up until that island, but I could not get back. So my maths teacher had to get a boat and get me. So thank you, Mr. Leijs, for saving me and not leaving me on this lake.
The lake is 2.8 kilometers long, about 180 meters wide and 7 to 8 meters deep. This makes the Schulensmeer the largest inland body of water in Flanders when it fills up to the outer dikes.
We have left the Demer, but we are still near a river. So right now we're near the Gete.
Which runs from?
I have no clue.
Go editing, Dries. Say it. Put it on the screen somewhere over here.
But if I'm not mistaken, the Gete was an important line of battle during the First World War. Editing Dries, correct me if I'm wrong.
I will.
The name Gete is derived from Get, which just means a hole, a passageway, or an opening. In August 1914, the Jette Valley briefly turned into a battlefield. In 1914, military strategists focused on 3 fortress belts around Liège, Antwerp and Namur for the country's defense. In between, they looked for a suitable position for the field army. Shortly before the war, it was already noticed that the terrain conditions were favorable for warfare at the Jette. Behind the waterline, using differences in height and a wet valley that was difficult to cross. The western valley edge is higher almost everywhere, so that an enemy approaching from the east on open ground would be an easy target on the higher grounds.
We have found ourselves a bench at 16.5 kilometers. I think it's time for a nice little lunch break close to someone who, well, quite resembles Julius Caesar, if you ask me.
The St. Pancras Church is the parish church of Zelk. This church was built in 1767 and was serviced by the monks of the St. Jansbergskloster in Salem. It is a classicist brick-hulled church with a square west tower, which is covered by a constricted spire. In addition to brick, iron stone was used for the base and limestone for the portal, doorsteps and the like. In 1939, 2 side chapels were added.
Behind the church you can see an old mill. The ZelkerMullen is a water mill on the Velpe, located in the Halen hamlet of Zelk. The mill functioned as a corn mill. Already in 1322 a mill was mentioned on this spot.
Imagine that the road hundreds and hundreds of years ago was over there, on that level. With hundreds and hundreds of years of water and erosion have lowered the road up to this point. You can see the roots of this tree. It's quite a known feature for this region. We're getting close to het Hageland, which has quite a lot of these, as we call it in Dutch, hollewegen. You can see on the footage, but right over there is a blimp. We in the region call it het varken, or the pig. It is the blimp that the paracommandos, how you say this, paracommandos in English? The paratroopers of Schaffe used to practice jumping, well, not out of a plane, but out of a blimp. And it's in the sky right now, but we are not seeing anyone jumping.
Jente was slightly mistaken here. Het varken, literally the pig, is not a blimp. It's a hot air balloon. Since 1947, this white oblong balloon has been used to train paratroopers. As we wave the windmills goodbye, we enter the province of Vlaams-Brabant. From Halen we cross over to the municipality of Assend, part of Bekkevoort.
On the fork in the road we encounter a little chapel, dedicated to the Holy Family. The chapel was built in the 19th century by the benefactor Frans Janssens. His parents were wealthy farmers who lived in Klein Kempe in Bekkevoort. This little chapel was also built by Frans Janssens and is dedicated to Our Lady of Lourdes.
The oldest mention of the Hermann Chapel from 1253 is Halebrandshovel. This would mean Hill of Halebrand. By mixing it with the name of the Hermans family, which was well represented in Assend, the name would have become Hermansheuvel. On the Hermansheuvel, an earthwork from the Middle Neolithic Michelsberg culture was constructed about 6,000 years ago. Getting really close to our end goal for today. Just the last hurdle to climb. Let's get to it. That was part 1 of our 55-kilometer hike to Werchter. We're exhausted. Yeah, nice day to walk.
Yeah, they forecasted a lot of rain today, but luckily that didn't come.
Thank you so much for watching if you made it to this far. We're the History Hikers.
Like, comment, subscribe and all the good YouTube stuff.
Thank you so much. Bye!
Bye!